are watching Influence Media, PSI TV, the Netflix of biz brands.
If you had a difficult life and wanted to quit, this show is for you. My guest is an abuse survivor who, through time in the military, a relationship with God, and further education, found life fixes, which she shares in her book, Metamorphosis, Why Not Me? A self-help therapy book from a Christian perspective. Here's a quick excerpt of this book by Dr. Kasona Coates. Run, Kasona, run. Don't quit. I can't quit. I don't want to live like this, but I do not know who I really am or what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Run where? I'm just going to be a chameleon. I'll survive by blending into my surroundings. Run, Kasona, run where? Everywhere I go, someone hurts me. There's no safe place. I don't understand. Run, Kasona, run. Just keep going. You're going to make it. Welcome, Dr. Kasona Cates. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank
Thank
you
you for
for
being my
inviting.
guest.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well, Kasona, your book, Metamorphosis, Why Not Me? A self-help therapy book from a Christian perspective, is in many ways a conversation with your younger self.
Yeah,
Are you speaking to a younger generation? Who would benefit the most from this book?
I am speaking to the younger adults, the older adults, any adult that has been mentally, physically, or sexually abused that are trying to find ways to cope and to heal.
Okay. Well, in your book, you're actually quite transparent about your troubled and checkered past, but you also boldly celebrate your newfound freedom in Christ. So many people would keep that kind of stuff hidden. Why are you so public about that? And would you say the writing process was cathartic for you?
Yes, it was. It was so liberating. And so what I found was, Miss Bierman, is that when we're going through these traumatic experiences and we keep them hid or we don't want to expose them, then that allows the enemy to keep us in isolation, keep us depressed, keep us having suicidal tendencies, you name it, keep us in fear. So I found that in writing this book, it liberated me, and it gave me the tools I needed. So it took away the tools of the enemy and gave them to me, and it gave me the power, the strength, and the courage to be the person that God made me to be.
Wow. So your book has a somewhat interactive feature because you, along the way, you are asking your readers to participate in memory triggering questions. Have you considered offering a companion journal to go along with your book where those questions appear? Like in chapter 1, you ask this question, that there's a page, so they can actually respond in that journal as they read the book?
Yes, I am. I'm going to offer a companion journal because sometimes people just need to know where to start. Like I didn't know where to start. And so you need a starting place. And, the Lord gave me that. And so I want to help people. I want to guide them to a place where they can just start somewhere.
Hmm. Yeah, that's, sometimes once we start, we will keep the momentum going. So that's actually very good.
Yes.
So, Sona, you went into the military. You survived the training. A lot of people don't make it through boot camp, right? We all know that. You survived the training, and this seemed, while I was reading that particular chapter, which, by the way, guys, I did buy the book. And I did read it. It was a great read. While you were in the military, in that particular chapter, it seemed in the writing, I could sense a psychological shift in
Yes.
the writing and in the tone, in particular in that chapter. I'm going to read a quote you had from there. What are you doing here? Survive, Kasona. You cannot quit, I told myself. It was then that I thought about the weakest person that I knew who completed basic training. I kept them in my forethoughts because I told myself, if they can do it, then so can I. Now, Kasona. I actually love that you thought about the weakest person, because
Yeah.
I personally hated the statement, if I can do it, you can do it. I've always felt that that's not really true. There's so
Yeah.
many reasons why somebody can do something that I can't do that are legitimate, but you kept the weakest person in mind. So you perceive that person to be weaker than you, and if they could do it, then they're delivered some amount of truth for you. Does this idea of finding someone who overcame a past, situation, is that part of the self-help therapy?
It is. And I use it, that real experience, like an analogy for myself with this book. You see, those traumatic things made me weak. It took everything from me, my dignity. It actually tried to destroy I even lost my mind. So I wanted to show my weakness, my vulnerability, so that people can say, oh, if God did this for her, she's this weak. So if I'm weak, then he can do the same thing for me.
Yeah, and you're very transparent in this book. I have to say, that's for sure. Now, you use a lot of parental analogy, especially in your reference to God and how
Yes.
you perceive his interactions with you. I found it interesting, especially because you did not have a good relationship with your parents, but you didn't hide how your coming to faith and all of that, it helped you. So honestly, Kasona, you have all this education, you've been in the school system, all of that, you've been around all these people who have situations. Is self-help therapy really possible without God in that equation?
And my humble opinion, Ms. Bierman, no ma'am. And the reason I say that is because, and I'll show you a natural side first. I used to drive a Mercedes Benz. And if something was wrong with that Mercedes Benz, I didn't want to take it to the Ford dealership. So God creating me, I'm his daughter. He created man. And that's my belief. But that's why I say, in my humble opinion, we have to go to the one that created us. He knows how to fix us. He knows how to heal us, He knows how to straighten us out. So I believe that to get the healing that we need, we must go to the creator for that.
I love that analogy, Kasona.
Yes,
I love it. Now, you introduce an idea that I've never heard before, but it rang so true to me. So I'm going to read this part of your book again. I learned that since it is the man that discharged the seed, it makes my siblings and I, whole brothers and sisters, not half. Now, first of all, where did you learn that from?
I learned that from the Lord, from men of God who taught me that, because I just struggled with that, being called half sister. And so when I came into the knowledge of that, that is what liberated me. And that is what helped me to forgive them, because I said, you know what, maybe they didn't know that, but just in case they did or didn't, that wasn't the issue. The issue is about me being free and what God is wanting to do for me. And so once he allowed me to see that, then I was able to forgive them, because he liberated me, whether they knew the truth or not.
Yes, yes. And, considering the self-help therapy concept, forgiveness is such a huge piece of that, huge piece of that. And whether or not the person you've forgiven knows they've been forgiven or even receives the forgiveness does not change the fact that forgiveness heals the person who's done the forgiving in such a huge way. So, how, you went through some serious childhood trauma, you overcame it. How does your book help the reader overcome their own trauma when it carries forward into adulthood? How do you think your book will help them?
It's going to help them because it's going to help them to expose those deep things. And then after you expose it, then what do? Now you have to face it. Well, how do you face it when everything is taken from you, when you are so weak, when you are so hurt? How do you face it? Now that's where the Creator comes in. His word, it continues, and he'll put people in your life to get you through it. And how does he do that? He uses his word, because words are spirit, they are life. And so if he puts a vessel, when he put that vessel in our path, that is what is going to lead us out. It's not like something going to just come out the air and just knock us down. It doesn't work that way. So to kind of unpack, I like to look at that scripture in Romans. I think we're dealing with the title, Why Not Me, Ms. Bierman?
Yeah.
Why not me? I went through this, Lord, why is this happening to me? And is it even possible for you to love me because this is happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
So I went through all of that. Lord, why is this happening to me? And when he gave me his answer, he took me to Romans 6:5-6. And when he showed me everything that his son went through, yet he was resurrected. Why not me? I'm his child. He had to go through it first. And because he went through it with his children, we're going to go through it too. It doesn't say how we're going to go through. It doesn't say how we're going to, the death situations. You know, a lot of times people look at death as just, okay, you die and then you're buried 6 feet under. But death, you know, we're dealing with a death in the flesh, the things that happens to us that could cause a death. So, but here I am speaking to you. I didn't die naturally when all those things happened to me, but a lot of the spiritual part of me, it died. But then he resurrected me through his word. So why not me? Okay. Why did Jesus have to go through what he went through for us? So why not?
It does say that it does say the storms will come. It just didn't say that it would overcome us. You know, we'll overcome the storm, but the storms will still come.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So why not me? Yeah. I mean, and sometimes, you know, right now, Kasona, you have a strong testimony coming out of all that. And
Yes.
now people are going to benefit from your perspective after the fact. And you know, I always tell people, you don't have to burn your hand in fire to understand it's hot. You can learn from somebody else without experiencing that yourself. So
Yes.
all of this is to do this huge dream. You have a dream to build a school. How
Yes.
does this book support that dream? And what exactly is this dream you have for this school?
Oh my God, this dream came from me working in corrections as a teacher. And it came from me having a traumatic head injury where I couldn't learn. And remember, I told you I lost my mind. And so when I started working in the prison setting and I saw it was 97% of the people could not read and they had all these disabilities, I was like, oh God, I have to do something. I have to move. I have to make a difference, because that child could have been me easily inside of a prison. Like, I could be in a prison instead of sitting here in this interview because I lost my mind. I had a learning disability, but I learned how to read. So this book, the sales of this book, will help me to build a school that will allow me to help people read of all ages. Anyone with a learning disability in reading, I will be able to help them to succeed. That is my dream.
You have results of that already?
Yes, I do. I have, if people will go to coachacademy.org, and it's also, I have students that share their testimony in my book. But if they would go to coachacademy.org, they will see testimonials. They'll go to my page. I have some things up where they can see testimonials of the people that obtained their GED. Or guess what? Some of them just wanted to learn how to read.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, ma'am, Ms. Bierman. Thank you so much for having me on this show.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Metamorphosis, Why Not Me? A self-help therapy book from a Christian perspective. Now, Mental health is a big deal, and not everybody's willing to go see a professional for help. So this book, I've read it, guys, and I have a counseling background. You're going to see someone who has struggled through many of life issues that a lot of people can resonate with. And she did overcome, and she shares not only how she overcame, but she asks those memory triggering questions so that you will determine, you know, what if I've had that situation, it will probably bring it up, and that may or may not be pleasant for you, but write down your answers. Writing truly is a cathartic and healing experience as well. So thank you, Dr. Kasona Coates, for being my guest today. Her website will be in the credits for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.